Mixland Audio just released their second plugin called Tilt. This is a passive equalizer plugin with a Class A vacuum tube output stage. So today I'm going to run various sources through the Tilt so you can get a great chance to hear this plugin and find out if it's a buy or a pass. So this is the Mixland Tilt, and it's inspired by classic tube gear. And as you might have guessed from the name, it is a tilt EQ. But the nice thing is you can take it out of the tilt mode by clicking this link button, and then you can just adjust the frequencies independently. But if you want to use it as a tilt EQ, you just make sure the link is in, select your frequencies, and then you can start to do the tilt. And as you do the tilt, you can see the scale actually changes. So the frequencies in this plugin are first on the low band, 20 Hertz, 60 Hertz, 100 Hertz, and 200 Hertz. And then on the high band, you have 1K, 8K, 16K, and 40K. And then another feature that they added inside of this plugin is this grit feature. And as I turn this grit feature up, you can see that the tubes actually begin to glow. So I think that's kind of neat. And I am going to show you extensively what this grit can do and what it sounds like today. So the first thing we're going to run through the Tilt today is a vocal track. So let me first play the vocal dry, and then I'll show you what we can do with Tilt.
Your life is just beginning.
One more time.
Your life is just beginning.
So you can hear this vocal is probably the perfect candidate for a tilt EQ because it's a little woolly and a little muddy in the lows, and it doesn't have much presence on the top. So what I did here with the tilt EQ is it's in link mode, so it is set to tilt, and I set the bottom frequency to 100 Hertz, and I set the top frequency to 1K, and I did add a little bit of grit too. I think the grit is about at 25% there. So I'm going to play it again. You're going to hear first without the tilt, and then the second track, you're going to hear it with the tilt. So here we go.
Your life is just beginning. Your life is just beginning.
One more time.
Your life is just beginning. Your life is just beginning.
So there you go. You can hear it cleaned up a lot of that low mud, and it actually added a nice presence to that vocal. The next thing I have is a guitar track. So let me play that guitar dry, and then I'll show you what it sounds like with the tilt. So you can hear that guitar kind of has the same issue that the vocal had. It's a little woolly, a little muddy in the lows, and it just doesn't have enough sparkle on the top. So on this one, I boosted at 200 and 1K again for the high, and I added a little more grit this time, and it brought out a little more of those harmonics in that guitar. So let me play it again. First you'll hear it dry, and then the blue track here is the one with the tilt on it. So here we go. So you can hear it really brought out the harmonics in that guitar, fixed the mud, and made it sound a lot better. Let me play it one more time. Next, I have a drum set that I want to run through the tilt. So let me first play that dry, and then I'll show you what I did with the tilt. So yeah, you can hear kind of bland, kind of boring, not much life in that drum set. So the first thing I did was add 60 Hertz, and I actually took this out of link mode. And this is one of those instances where you can just take it out of link mode. If you want to boost both frequencies, or if you want to cut both frequencies, you can just take it out of link mode. So I set it to 60 Hertz on the bottom and 1K in the top. And here's what it sounds like with those adjustments. So let me play it again, and I'm going to pop the EQ in and out as it's playing through. So first bypass. In. Out. in. So yeah, obviously it made it a little louder, but it's breathing so much life into that drum track. And you can just hear some of that analog-y goodness that they've emulated, adding some warmth and some sparkle to that drum kit. So I thought that sounded really great. Now, another thing I did with this drum kit that was really fun is I duplicated the track and I did a second instance of tilt. And on this one, I actually took down a little bit of the low and I cranked the grit all the way up. And so then I blended this gritty track in with the original track. And so let me show you what that sounded like. So first, without the gritty track, and I'll pop it in and out. So here's without. With grit. Out. In. Out. In. So I really liked that. I thought that added a lot. Kind of a similar concept to just doing parallel drum compression, but I thought that grid actually added a lot to that drum set and made it a lot more three-dimensional. Next, I used the tilt on a synth bass track, and this one was really fun. So let me play you the bass first dry without the tilt, and then I'll show you what I did with the tilt. Okay, so this one I wanted to do something fun. A lot of times in my tracks, I'm using two bass tracks, and one of the bass tracks will be more for the bass grit, and the other one will be for more of the sub low energy. So what I did was I actually put it back in tilt mode, and I selected 60 hertz on the bottom, and I selected 1K on the top, and you can see I did a pretty big tilt on this. So I took the 60 hertz way down, and I cranked up the 1K, and then if you look in the middle, I turned the grit all the way up, so that's the grit at 100%. So let me play it again. I'll start first on bypass, and listen to what the grit did to this bass track. In. Out. And in. So that to me sounded really great. The tube distortion in that grit setting really did something special to that bass track. So what I did again was I duplicated that bass track, and on my second track, I just brought back, I used it to bring back the warmth. So here's with the second track to bring back some of that low end warmth. And again, this is what we started with. And we ended with this. So if you need something that's going to give you some grit on your bass lines, this will definitely do that. So that made me smile. That sounds really awesome. Lastly, I have some strings that I want to run through the tilt. So let me first play these strings dry. So as you can hear, those strings are a little MIDI. They don't have much warmth on the bottom. So again, this is a perfect thing to use the tilt EQ on. So what I did in this instance is, again, I set it to 1K, and this time I set it to 200 hertz on the bottom. So let me play that again, and I'll pop it in and out of bypass. So first bypassed. In. Out. In. So there you go, brought the warmth back to those strings, got rid of some of that nasally mid-range sound that was in those strings. And then lastly, I did something kind of fun with these strings. What I did was I just I had to hear what the grit sounded like on the strings. Of course, you got to try it. And so what I did was I have the strings running through a lot of reverb, but before the reverb, I have the tilt in, and I automated that grit setting going from 0 all the way to 100% on this string patch. And it actually sounded kind of cool. I could definitely see myself using something like this in one of my compositions. So let me play that for you and just hear what it does to the strings. I just thought that was kind of cool. Obviously, you wouldn't use distortion on strings very often, but for a special effect, I thought that was pretty neat. So there you have it, and you made it to the end of this video, and sometimes when you make it to the end of a video, it comes with a reward. So I actually reached out to Mixland Audio, and I asked them if I could get a discount just for my viewers, and they were kind enough to send me a 20% off discount. So you can find that code inside the description of this video. It's Composer Daniel 20. And Mixland is a relatively new company, but I think gestures like that show that they care about their users and they really want people to hear this stuff. So if you got some value out of this video, please like this video and also subscribe to this channel, turn on that bell for notifications, and it'll let you know when my new videos come out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.